So maybe I'll speak just first tonight. Um, I just am moved rather just right now to talk about something. I hadn't really thought I would talk about this, but um, it seems like I'll grab the moment while it's here, um, which is to talk about the breath. Um, we do a lot of like focus on the breath in meditation. And I think initially it's weird to people. Um, to focus on their breath. It's not something we do consciously much until you start meditating. And, in the course of my goodness, I shudder to think about it, almost 45 years of this practice, I think it's shifted. My relationship with the breath has shifted over time in various ways. And I think if I can just name a couple of the earlier relationships that I had with breathing, um, that I think came out of the kind of instruction that I got. It involved either kind of sinking into the breath, feeling the deep relaxation of that. There's something about the breath, if you're able to not control it, but you're just breathing, that leads to just great calmness. There's also, very precise noting of the breath. I sort of went through a phase of that. This is somewhat the Burmese style, which might even divide the breath up into parts and, notice with great precision. And I've certainly taught that a time or two. But there's often a kind of observational relationship with the breath that is a part of that. You're noticing this, you're noticing that. So it's more active, and it's creating a great deal of energy and clarity around the breath. And more recently, I think those of you who have been here in my classes more recently, you've heard me talk about enjoying the breath, that enjoyment is really key. It too is a very relaxing thing, but not quite relaxing, just as I was talking about earlier. Just breathing can be relaxing to the point of soporific. But when you take joy in breath, something is shifting. What do you take joy in? I mean, I remember early on in meditation, it's sort of like, oh my God, this is so boring. What? How do you expect me to pay attention to this thing? It doesn't, it's never different. So there was a certain kind of aversion, a certain kind of not enjoying that was part of it. But as I've come to enjoy the breath, that's very much a part of my practice, is to breathe with enjoyment. What is it that I'm enjoying? Well, certainly there's the enjoyment of, not having to do anything else. There's that kind of, I'm free of any anxious task here. But I think in a deeper way, there is a joy in being, in just being, which I actually think is the root of joy. It's not like we feel joy because of this, because of that, or the joy is not out there in the object of our attention, the object of our interest. The joy is in us. And there's a light, there's a buoyancy that's there in the breath if you enjoy it. And so tonight I was just, because we're in the class that we are, was playing with the idea of letting the breath touch you. And, that certainly could be along the lines of enjoying the breath. So they're certainly not incompatible. None of these are really incompatible from the others. But I've found, over the years, the value of the word that you use that describes what you're doing, describes the relationship that's being invited. And so to let yourself be touched by the breath. I did a little of this in the meditation tonight when we got to the feet. I guess it was other times too, where I just invited you to be touched by the reality of the body. But to like let the energy come up through the feet is sort of like to let yourself be porous to the world on a very fundamental level. You know, sometimes people are a little worried about becoming too porous to the world and feel like they let all the sorrow of the world in. So this is a subtler kind of porousness and just sopping up the feelings that are around one. It's more on an energetic level. So with breathing, like to let the breath touch you. It's letting something in. Into what? I don't know. Into that core of presence that we are. Something about the breath. Like, you know, if I try to put it in words, it becomes a little too intellectual, you know. But it's being touched by the reality, the being of breathing. You know, and those words just sound so abstract to me. But in the concrete experience, they're not. So maybe let's just take a moment. And this is a good moment because you've had a little meditation already tonight. Your nervous system's already come down a little. Let's take a moment and breathe and try this on for size. And close your eyes. It may take a little bit of just settling in. And, you know, letting the breath do its thing. Letting it just, let yourself be breathed. That might be another way to express what I'm pointing to. Just see what it's like to let yourself be breathed. It might only reveal more subtle levels of control, and I think that's a good thing too, to be conscious of those. Perhaps you could just surrender to being breathed and allow that to touch you. You're skating along here, just on that edge where you could actually relax out of control, relax out of agency. And be just purely receptive. The breath is deeply nourishing. You could say that respiration is the core of life, core of our living. another way I have tried, I think about all the ways I've tried to explain this over years, is to let your heart breathe. Let your heart breathe. Over these 45 years, I've become a connoisseur of breathing. There's a lot in it, a lot more than it initially seems. So I just, if you would at all inclined in this direction, try it out this week in your practice. Try being touched by breathing or letting the heart breathe. Whatever it is I've said tonight that has resonated the most with you. Let that guide your practice. I think it's very much along the lines of the tenderness, which is the theme for this class. To, hold the breath in this way, so tenderly, so lightly. And part of why I'm doing this is I realized, if I said breathe tenderly, if someone said that to me, I wouldn't have a clue what they're talking about. What? It didn't mean anything to me. But then the be touched by it, yes, it started to mean something. So I've just tried to put some words to an experience here. And, you can tell me if it took or not. But you may need to work with it a little bit. And it may not be that the context of a class is the best way to really drop into letting the breath touch you. It might be in your own, in your own time this week. All right.